Hello everyone, what's up? Prince 1215 here, doing commentary for Transformers vs. Lego Star Wars Season 1. So this is going to be all 3 episodes in one go. So if you were wanting them separately, then I don't know why you'd want separate commentaries spread out like that. Then, well, anyway. So this is all 3 episodes of Season 1 of Transformers vs. Lego Star Wars, the series. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 being locked down, part 1, 2, and 3. So as we start off here, I fashioned the beginning of this very much like the first episode of Transformers Prime, where RC and Cliffjumper are talking over their comms while things start to happen. So for this, it is Sideswipe and Hardboiled talking as things start to happen. At the beginning of this, it's obviously been a while since the Decepticons have caused any sort of ruckus, and everyone's starting to complain about being bored. Sentiment Lumpy usually shares, and this is the first little interesting piece, is that I wrote Lumpy out of the script by saying Guy sent him off to a strategy conference. The reason for doing this is because, and I've said this before in like channel updates and stuff when the Lumpy Files 2 was still in production, the problem with having Lumpy in anything is that I need Assorted Nerds Productions to voice him. But the problem with that is I don't get to see him very often. He lives 3 hours away, so we don't get a chance to see each other very often, so that means he doesn't get a chance to voice Lumpy very often. So, I usually when it's a big project, we do all of his stuff in one go. Like with Lumpy Files 2, we did most of that in one go. And it was like the last 15 minutes we had to do in a second session, but most of it was done in one go. So that's why Lumpy isn't in this, because for a thing like this, I felt it would just be a little too much of a hassle to include Lumpy in this. So sorry for those of you that might be a little disappointed, but you still got the Lumpy Files 2 to watch if you haven't seen that already, and rewatch if you choose. So then, this is the first episode of Transformers Lego Star Wars, the series, and I really like the way the title sequence panned out. It looks basically I made it identical to Transformers Prime for a reason, and I thought it turned out really, really well. So, so then for this series, I've kind of forgone Steve Jablonsky. He's great for the films, but this was a series. I always say that I wanted this to feel, well, I didn't say this to anyone, I said it to myself, but I said I wanted it to feel like Transformers Prime. So that meant, of course, using the music. So Brian Tyler's score for Transformers Prime is used all over this series, and I like the way it fits into the scenes. Overall, I think this episode here, episode 1, turned out the best out of all of them. To episode 2, I knew it was going to be shorter when I wrote the script, because I kind of said to myself when starting the script for episode 2, okay, these are the points I want to hit in this episode, and then that's the story I had mapped out in my head, and like this part of the story can be episode 2. So episode 2 comes out, it's like 5 minutes long or something. That's with title sequence and everything. It was really short, and that bothers me a bit with how short it is. But that's the story I wrote, and so that's how it was. Because all in all, I think the total runtime for all 3 episodes back to back, and this is including title sequences and credits and stuff, I think it's roughly 22 minutes. That's an episode of Transformers Prime or Star Wars: The Clone Wars or whatever that would fit in a half-hour time block on any TV channel. And so really, season 1 is kind of one episode, just kind of split up into 3 parts. Because episode 1 very much is the setup. Episode 2 kind of is some backstory, and then episode 3 is the payoff. So, in that way, season 1 really is kind of just one episode split up into 3 different parts. I will say this, season 2, each episode is kind of distinct. 1 and 2 kind of merge together a bit, But then episode 3, it's very distinct from the first two. They're all longer than 10 minutes. I'll go ahead and say that. So just a little sneak peek toward season 2, which will be launching in next month. So then, here we see Optimus Prime for the first time in the series. Sideswipe has been wounded. Agent Johnson's back to be not as annoying as in Revenge of the Fallen, but still annoying-ish. Although, at this point in the story, Agent Johnson has kind of mellowed. He understands what the Autobots are doing. He understands what the clones are doing. I mean, he always understood what they were doing, but he's not against them anymore. He's not actively trying to get them expelled, for lack of a better word. So it was kind of interesting to write Johnson that way. So I'm like, oh, wait, he's nice now. When I spent however long it took me to write Revenge of the Fallen, the entire time in that, he was just a big jerk. So then here's Starscream. Still, he's their prisoner, as we saw him being taken prisoner at the end of Revenge of the Fallen. So then he's kind of... I tried to make it clear, but just in case I didn't, he's kind of trapped in a force field. And so that was the reason for the blue. When his hand kind of shot out, his hand was touching the force field when he was trying to get through, lash out at Prime, but there was a force field there. So he's kind of stuck standing in this little force field cube, and he can't move out of it. So occasionally the Autobots will come and ask him for information, but he cooperates, which is a bit surprising, but I suppose that just shows how much of a weasel Starscream is. He'll do anything to save his own skin, and he thinks maybe if I cooperate with the Autobots, they'll let me go. So I kind of liked the idea of a joke that 327 comes in and reads to Starscream, like little children's stories, and I thought that'd just be a funny throwaway line that could emit a chuckle. And so then, here we have kind of Lockdown's first appearance in robot form, sort of. I mean, you could see his arm there, but that's about it. And then I kind of had this shot envisioned in my head. There's the shot in the Dark of the Moon trailer where Optimus and the other Autobots are arriving at the Nest headquarters, and they're all kind of driving in, and it's kind of that nice shot where the camera's kind of panning up. I kind of envisioned that for Optimus driving in, and I think it turned out pretty well the way I imagined it. Excuse me, pardon. So I kind of had this idea in my head when I wrote this that Lockdown was attacking the villages to get the Autobots away so we could swoop in to capture Ratchet, and I think that turned out pretty well. And I like this here. It didn't turn exactly the way I wanted it when I ended up editing it, because I wanted it to look more like photos, but it just came across as text. Because, I mean, there in the Ratchet, you can see the 3 claw marks that would have been on the building that Lockdown made to designate, the 3 scratches that are on his Decepticon symbol that Starscream makes in Episode 2, with the to be continued listed here. And so the idea that they were pictures on the screen didn't exactly come across that well, but oh well. It wasn't that bad. So, this is our first credits page. I used a lot of music here for this first one. And then, of course, this was released in January 2016, but I edited it in 2015, hence the 2015 watermark there. And then here we start with episode 2. I just decided to keep the Troopers intro because it was short. I didn't have to make another one that way. And I thought it fit well, so that's why I've kept the Troopers. Also, more Troopers coming soon. That's all I'll say, coming soon. And this is my first previously on. I mean, there was always something about watching Transformers Prime and hearing Optimus Prime say, previously on. That really got me pumped. whenever they did do a Previously On. So I like the way that my Previously Ons have turned out here, and for Season 2 as well. So, this is the episode that bugs me, because it's so short. Episode 3 bugs me as well, because it's short as well, and the fight scene at the end is not the way I would have liked it to turn out, but I don't have anyone but me to blame for that. But, oh well. I can get lazy sometimes. And things don't turn out the way I envisioned them. Season 2, it was really only that way for Season 1. Season 2 pretty much turned out exactly the way I wanted it, and I'm very, very happy with Season 2. And so then here we are in the title sequence again. Currently running at... Right, that's not... Okay, never mind, I tried to check the time. Disregard me. And then I edited the logo here, because before... I had the Lego Star Wars drawn out. Back when I made the logo originally in Microsoft Paint years ago. I mean, gosh, it was ages ago I made that. And that's the logo that was in Revenge of the Fallen. And because when I originally envisioned the logo in my head, I saw the Transformers, the Michael Bay Transformers logo for the first movie, and then the verses with the V being in the Transformers. I guess style, and then the S being in the Star Wars style, and then Lego Star Wars being from the 2005 packaging, and so then that's the reason it looked the way it did. And so then before, it was like mid 2013, I actually tried to work on a new logo. I made it, and I didn't like it. There was just something about the one that was poorly drawn in Microsoft Paint that I just thought was better than the one that actually looked better. So I scrapped it. I ditched it. And I think the reason for that being is that I was using the logo from 2012 or 2013, which had had the Star Wars bit of Lego Star Wars written in blue. I think I did not like the way that the blues off the two logos clashed or whatever, and so then that's the reason I didn't like it. But 2015's Lego Star Wars logo looked, since they were doing Revenge of the Sith again in 2015, that was kind of the theme of Lego Star Wars last year. They had the kind of orangey words like they did back in 2005. And so that's something I really liked. And so then I put that together, like, well, let's try this again with this logo, and it turned out so good. That's the way I always wanted it to look, not with the poor paint job and everything from Microsoft Paint. And I just immediately fell in love with it. I just did like one small little resize on the Lego Star Wars, and that was that. And that's the logo I'm going to use for this going forward, because it just looks so good. I think everyone can agree with that. Sound off in the comments if you agree. So, here we are, already 3/4 way through episode 2, and it's right now just now past the 4-minute mark. So it's just really, really short. I mean, we had that one little flashback, and then here's Optimus and Ironhide making their second short appearance in the episode, and then here we go having Ratchet kidnapped again. There are a couple things I like. Like, I like the way the power generator explodes right there. I like the way Ratchet ran a minute ago, and like the way Ratchet's eyes lit up in the dark. So, I mean, there's small things I like in this episode, but overall, I just don't like it. And then, boom, it ends. That was 4 minutes and 45 seconds, roughly. And part of that, and 30 seconds of that was title sequence. So really, that was more like 3.5 minutes or so. And then here we have more credits. So, episode 2, very disappointing, in my opinion. Again, that's my fault. Don't have anyone to blame but myself. I could have gone back. I could have done reshoots. I could have extended stuff. No, too lazy. I had Star Wars Battlefront to play. That's the reason. Blame Star Wars Battlefront. So hopefully, if you've been watching them, I hope you all have enjoyed the funny Star Wars Battlefront moments, because they came forth out of not working on Transformers Lego Star Wars as much as I should have for Episode 2. And here we are in Episode 3 already, just 15 minutes in. No, I mean, we're basically halfway through an episode of Transformers Prime right now. A little over halfway, really. So, again, Previously On turns out nice. I like the way the Previously On turned out. And then here we have new footage. So the thing that was a little time consuming, that I'd say, I got lazy, I played too much Star Wars Battlefront. Yes, that is partly true, but another thing, I did a lot of effects editing for both episode 2 and 3, because if you notice, and basically almost every shot Lockdown is in, his eyes are colored in green. Because I was filming it and I'm like, I do not like the way he looks. The light piping doesn't work too well. His eyes don't really light up, and he just doesn't have it didn't seem to me that his face wasn't as menacing as it was in Age of Extinction. So I went in and like 95% of the shots he's in, there's one or two shots where it's just a short little thing or something where it just didn't matter. Besides those couple little instances, I went in and I drew in the green eyes with the more lime green pupils, and I think it turned out really good. That's some small things I like from episode 2 and 3. I thought those turned out really good. And so when I was going through editing episode 2, when Lockdown fell on the ground after Ratchet pushed him and Ratchet starts struggling for the gun, and it kind of goes by too fast, you can't notice. But something I liked that I was able to do because of that is that when Ratchet goes for the gun, the way Lockdown was bent over, I managed to then draw the pupils kind of looking up at Ratchet as then he knocks Ratchet out of the way. I thought that was really cool that I was able to do that, and even though you can't really tell, I know that I did that. So now, post editing all this, I have and writing this, I have some conflicted feelings. Lockdowns. See, like here's a shot where his eyes aren't colored in. I think this one was actually a mistake that I forgot to color. No, I forgot to not. No. This one I purposely left that way because no matter what size the pupils were, they always looked really weird. So I just didn't color in this shot. But anyway, I've got some conflicted feelings post writing all this and putting it out there. Lockdown's motivations for wanting to come back after Ratchet, being captured by the Autobots when he was about to broker a deal that would allow him to leave the war behind. Do you all think that is ample enough motivation for him to want revenge for being locked away this entire time? Because the script is a little more vague. If I remember correctly, I think I vocalized some more of that in actual voicing and went a little off script to make it sound better. And I think the motivation is good, maybe not great. Chime in. I want to know what you all think about Lockdown's motivations here, and tell me if you thought they were good or bad. So, this is something I like. This is the new Decepticon hideout. You're going to be seeing more of this in Season 3. So, because of that power outage that Lockdown created, that allowed Starscream to escape. And so then I drew that new, because they've switched hideouts again, because it seems like every time we see the Decepticons, they have to have a new hideout. So they switched hideouts, and it's basically a hole in the ground, and so that was a big Photoshop job. I basically took a picture of a cave. I kind of photoshopped it into some sand dunes, and then kind of used the cloning tool to work on the edges around the picture to make sure that the cave blended in more with the sand dunes. And then I was looking, I'm like, still needs a little bit more something. So then I took the one of the shots from episode 1 where Sideswipe is fighting the Viacons, and then one of the arms happened to be sticking up, so I photoshopped that out and put it in the sand and made it look like it was buried. I think that turned out really good. So, and here's another bit where Lockdown. Oh, wow! I just noticed that I forgot to show Optimus transforming. Whoops! I guess some things you don't notice until later. And I went and I watched these things over and over and over and over to make sure everything was correct, and I still had it messed up. I think my intention was to show Lockdown getting up and you hear the transforming noise. And then Optimus is transformed off screen because I was just getting lazy and I wanted to go play Battlefront again. So, yep, that's the fight. That's it. He's like, oh, no, I've been fighting for about half a second, but I'm going to leave already. Lockdown's transformation there could have been a little better, but so Ironhide got EMP'd, so he's not dead. I kind of did like this shot of them looking at the twin suns, and then here's a little teaser for what's to come in the future. We've kind of got a shadowy figure there in the darkness that has apparently hired Lockdown for some job. I'm not going to elaborate on that job is, but you'll see that very soon. So, that was Season 1 of Transformers vs. Lego Star Wars the series. That's kind of a mouthful sometimes. Transformers vs. Lego Star Wars the series. I've been going vs instead of versus. So I guess I just can't speak that well today. So, to be continued in Operation Rebirth Part 1. What does that entail? You'll have to find out in May. Speaking of which, here's the teaser. Here's the link to the teaser trailer. Click it now. Click it. Click it. Goodbye.